Sure, but okay, so we're on and we're recording. As Perry knows, once the recording begins, the friends from out of town, from off world, the master teachers, and I, it starts to become telepathic, not just from me to you, but from them to you as well. And that's true for Perry. So now she gets to enjoy this journey because she doesn't have to translate. She can just go on the journey, which is great. I love that too because it benefits her too. She's been all
Okay,
the journeys anyway, but makes it more fun for her.
sure.
I like these to be fun. They're actually, as Perry now knows, there's surprising things that happen on these journeys nobody expects. Not me, not anybody. It's
Yeah.
kind of fun. So just so you understand, I think you already do. Do I just call you Dee Dee?
DD is fine. Yeah.
Dee Dee, okay. And I'm Scott Knucklehead from the Stars. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Hi.
That guy that's really out there.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Maybe we are very excited, I think.
Yeah.
Very excited to be. We are
Somebody's
very
got to
excited.
do.
Okay. Okay.
If I wasn't really out there, we couldn't do this. There's really nobody else on earth yet that is qualified to do these kind of things or trained or spent a lifetime preparing for it. Actually, a number of lifetimes, but this whole lifetime as well. I had to write 4 books, had to get on many radio shows some years ago just to begin to get it to the point where I started guiding these journeys. In the beginning, I was guiding people privately for free, and none of that ever got on YouTube. No books were sold. It didn't promote the work. It helped some people. It helped ground some things to the earth, but it didn't promote anything. So that had to change. So more people can start,
Mm.
getting benefited from this. When I say that your intelligence or IQ goes up, it does. Perry can attest to that. It just does, and she may have something she wishes to say about that in her own experience before we begin the journey, if she wants to.
No, I like to say something else. For you to get yourself free, you have to work a lot. But for us, I think we are luckier because we have your work to support us, to help us to get free. Thank you to you.
I wish it was that way in the United States where I live, with so much wealth and so much abundance, but people in the United States are more, as I say, they don't realize it, but they're kind of mindlessly entertained by so much stuff. Even in the UFO and extraterrestrial communities, they get distracted all over the place. It's more difficult for them to stay focused and really start to go in a productive way because the journeys require, the source behind all life requires that we co create getting our freedom back with it because then we learn the wisdom along with it that makes it so that we can never be trapped again, put on a planet, stuffed in a body. There's no reptilians or greys anywhere near this solar system. They're way long gone, 25 years ago. So planet's just stuck with that misdirected programming, and that has to be fixed. Otherwise, the people here would destroy themselves for sure. So that's been prevented a number of times. I'm grateful for that. Yeah, not by our military, not by classified people. From off world, it was prevented. That's a good thing. That these beings have changed enough out there among the stars, is what the Sayres Agenda book is all about, is how they're changing out there to even care about focusing on this earth to save it. Because in the past, millions of years ago, they wouldn't intervene in planets, and planets were blown up or influenced by tyrants to be blown up. And that story is told in The Emerald Doorway in book 1 of the Parallel Time trilogy. That was a life I lived as Caleb back then. So I'm revealing my own lives to people to help them learn what I challenged back then, what I had to go through. And even after that lifetime, I still ended up here with no memory, stuffed in a body against my will. So that was a real shocker for me. And what that says is, what is it we did for 100,000 years that made us vulnerable to be caught and put on this earth? So I'm endeavoring to help people understand this, It's not easy to confront. And before we get going, I wanted to share with both of you a little bit more about what the primary implant is. Now, Perry's very, very versed and very experienced in this. The primary implant, no matter what anybody says in the world, cannot be removed by anybody in a body running a life on Earth. It's too diabolical the way they were done. They're set up so that if you try to get into them and get them free on your own, your body would get killed. It would stop functioning. So we have to do that out in space amongst friends from other worlds that know how to do this. And what they'll do, as they did with me, they'll sit you in a white chair and they'll have you with safety and the right vibes, and you'll, on these screens that are projected around you, you get to see how you were killed and tortured and murdered. It's not fun. And it's not fun for Perry. It certainly wasn't fun for me. But then that primary implant, once the secondary implants are out of the way, which we're going to do today, then the primary implant becomes more under your control. You gain more mastery over succumbing to fear of the present and future. If you don't get the secondary ones out of the way, there's very little chance anybody can master not paying attention to fear, not getting caught in the present and the future, thinking about fear, which generates more of the same thing in their life. We're meant to be masterful people. We're meant to be co-creators with the source behind all life. That's how we started out billions and billions of years ago. And then we got lost along the way somehow. What I wanted to share with you, and it may be important for you after we go on today's journey, for you to go on one of the long distance journeys, the guided journeys that go not only to other planets, but up into the upper realities, beyond the void and up higher, all the way back to source, while your body's still alive on Earth. That's important, because when you return to where we were supposed to be returning to billions of years ago, it rubs off on you. It kind of flows through you, and you begin to bring back to Earth much that you've been made to forget or afraid to remember. That gives you more control, more mastery. So once the secondary implants are out of the way, we do have an ability growing in us, awakening in us, to choose. If we suddenly feel fear of the present and future, we get caught on the internet or the TV, or somebody gets shot, or kids are killed or something, you have to go back into the hue and let the hue flow through you to those people. Don't get caught in it personally, because we're not the power. We're not the power that can fix those beings. The source itself, and some of these masterful beings like Satnam and Turelian, can fix problems with kids that are killed or planes that crash and all that kind of thing. As individuals, we are not empowered to do that. So we don't want to get caught. You can feel sorry or sympathy or compassion for what happens to people, but don't get emotionally caught up in it, because then you're connecting to it.
Yep.
That just turns on the implants, and then you make decisions that aren't so good. See?
Yep.
Okay, so you're smart. You're getting it. That's good. Okay. So the primary implant, it gets dealt with. Perry and I have been talking about, should I guide people into the primary implant, see what's in there. The problem with it is this: it requires one-on-one. And we're right back in the same problem with numbers of people. It requires several hours of one-on-one to get a person prepared to sit in the chair and out in space, outside of Earth's negative atmosphere, outside of the influence of anything on Earth. And your implants and subconscious spheres are turned off. That's something they do as a service. So you can just look at what's there. Once you review it, it becomes a memory. It's just a memory. And it no longer can influence you subconsciously the same. Even I still have the primary implant, but I know what's in it. So it's not subconscious. It can't affect me in a negative way. See?
Okay. Yep.
So I'm trying to get that across to people. Some people take this work, I guess, and from what I've heard, and go out and say, I can remove implants and I can remove primary implants. They can't. I don't even do that. The friends I work with who trust me and I trust them, they do that. They weren't born on Earth. They don't have subconscious minds. They didn't grow up on Earth. They grew up problems Earth people have. They don't have implants. So if you want to work with some couple that's 36-year-old looking, that are 400 or 500 years old in their real bodies, I think that's a better deal to work with them than me trying to do it. So that was something I decided a long time ago, to make sure these other beings do that work and not attempt to do it myself. I can, but I choose not to.
How about if someone claim that they can take people to sit on the white chair and then to confront with the primary implant?
No, because they aren't authorized. They don't, these guys, people on Earth can't manipulate these beings to give them money or just do stuff for them because they claim it. You have to work with these beings for years and get into a trust relationship, a co-creative relationship. This work began for me, not like these people on Earth are thinking. It doesn't happen in the lower planes. It doesn't happen on Earth. Change takes place above the void. You have to know how to get above the void to create change there. And then Satnam tests it in the lower worlds. There's a big screen, like a big LCD screen. You know, it's like 1,000 feet long and 20 feet high, and you can throw something that's been created brand new up there where there's no negative nature, and it'll go into the lower worlds of time and space through the hue and bounce back to him. And he can tell if it's three things. If it's true, necessary, and kind, it's implemented in the lower worlds, like Earth. That's how this got started. It didn't get created on Earth. It didn't get learned in any school or from any guru on this planet, because they don't know it. I had to go there. And then I had an option, once doing that, to bring it out and to serve and have it come here on Earth, or a free will, not do anything. Don't say a thing. So it's not possible for people to copy what we're doing and take people and sit them in a white chair, because they aren't, the beings that I work with aren't going to work with them that way. They're not trained. They didn't earn it. They didn't spend a lifetime working towards this goal. They don't have the wisdom that goes with it. So it's important that you understand this. I don't wish anybody ill will. I wish them all will. Believe me. But the life, the hue, the omnipresent power has a way of teaching us better. So I let it be the teacher that way, not me. It knows how to correct people. It knows how to help people. It knows how to get them out of an illusion and get them up higher in consciousness and more honest and sincere and true to themselves and others. And it's between each individual to improve themselves in this way. When we go on these journeys, they're based on direct experience. Not faith, not belief. This isn't a religion. I don't have anything to do with world's religions on Earth, esoteric or spiritual groups of any kind. This comes from off-world, from out amongst the greater God, where most of the life is. And most of it is far more advanced than people on Earth. Far more. So we need to be respectful of these beings. They do what they do of free will. They don't have to do it. I think I found when I went back into the source, to the upper worlds myself, that I innately found within me this desire to help liberate the lower worlds of time and space. Just as a single atma, to help many other masterful beings bring this about for the first time. And that's what got started up there with Satnam and in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. So this is where this work comes from. Obviously, the books are an open door that lead to other dimensions, other realities. But what we do in these guided journeys goes far beyond what's revealed in the books. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is shut your mic off. You can turn it on if you need to. But this is to get a better recording quality. It's the only reason I do it. When you imagine someone you love and respect, you're grateful they're in your life. It can be a person, a child, a cat, a dog, a bird, a waterfall, an ocean, a sunset, anything that makes you smile inside. But it's genuine. Whatever it is that just makes you smile inside. Now that opens the doorway in what is called the pineal gland in the center of the human brain. The human brain is not involved in going on these journeys. It's put to sleep. It runs the body on automatic. It gets an energy beam from you to run. And then when it goes into the trance state called sleep, which you put it in easily and effortlessly and masterfully every night, with the voice that is being used and my connection to other beings out waiting for us. And there's a man and a woman standing behind you. And they're showing you a human form about 36, looks about 36, young adult, but flawlessly beautiful, flawlessly handsome. And they're standing behind you, and that would be Shantial and Tonaltial. And all they're doing, and they know how to do it without effort, they're keeping your secondary and primary implant turned off. No influence, no fear, no negative nature whatsoever. So you can go on the journey and get the most benefit from it and bring it back. When you come back from this journey, you will not have secondary implants. And you will not need to go through it again. Once is enough. 3 of them are removed. And they're in a position, we'll explain exactly where they are and how they're implanted. And then once they're gone, the energy that Ambassador Trillian co-creates with Source itself brings an energy from above the void right down into space, into the hue that's out in space, but it's a higher form of it. So it begins to be a teacher for you, and it begins to provide a protection so that you cannot be implanted again. Not ever again. So these journeys are one way. They aren't positive and negative and up and down and backwards and forwards and fickle and wishy-washy and this way and that way. No. They work in a spiral that winds ever upward. It's very gradual. It's comfortable. All of us have lost the use of our most high faculties of being billions of years ago. Not lost, let's just say suppressed or forgotten or not turned on or not used. And so these journeys begin to turn them back on. Fear is an artificially implanted and created emotion that is not a normal human emotion at all, even though people believe this on earth with their whole hearts. It isn't even a part of what we are as beings, and never was. It is an experiment that was put into place in the lower worlds of time and space an ancient time ago. And then we were sent down into the worlds, actually we volunteered at that point, to run bodies that had been developed by the Say rays and other beings and races in many other galaxies that had a high enough nervous system that the spherical being, the Atma we are, which is what our true form is, as soul, could run them and gain experience, positive and negative, good and bad. You know, living a life, having children, being married, that whole thing. We were supposed to bring back to Source while we're still alive in those bodies, our experience, and download it into the ocean of sound and light, into Prime Creator, Source itself. We weren't doing that, and people have not been doing it. So you could say that that experiment of good and evil, which is being retired, worked so well that it trapped people, a good percentage of what we call Prime Creator, in forms in the lower worlds of time and space. They were built as fixed and finished multi-dimensions below the void, which means they could not be changed. What had to happen was a change in the upper realities with the silent mentors, the mechanics of the universe, that can tweak things in the lower worlds so that they can change. Well, actually, what our purpose is to make the lower worlds of time and space mirrors of the upper realities. For that to occur, the old failed experiment of good and evil has to be permanently retired. It has to be replaced with something. It gets replaced with the Hue expansion ray, which is a kind of genius intelligence, coming from the upper realities through the omnipresent living power of the hue. And as it passes through beings, it begins to change them in permanent ways. It helps them recover over some time all that they were made to forget. And then we naturally return home. And we take our place to be co-creators with the source, which is our reason for existing. Imagine someone you love and respect, you're grateful they are in your life. And then you look at this Shantial and Tonaltial, and for this journey, I am going to describe them for you, because it's good to know what they look like. And then you're going to discover, as you hover near the ceiling, looking down on your body as a spherical, beautiful spherical being. There are a man and a woman, spherical being, hovering beside you. And they're showing you a physical looking form standing out in front of it, right up in the atmosphere, up near the ceiling. And you are showing them a perfect 36-year-old female form. Your original prototype. It's not DNA, it's not molecules, it's energy. It's a pure energy projection from the white core of your being as an Atma. And when your subconscious negative stuff is stopped or turned off, you naturally know how to do this. That's how we show ourselves to each other when we're out of body. In the high worlds, back to source, we know each other as spherical beings. Even in the Atma plane where Satnam is, beings walk around in physical human-like bodies, but they aren't made of DNA or molecules. They don't have to eat or go to the bathroom or any of that. This is who and what we really are. The rest is Maya, or illusion. There's only one thing we ever have to give up, permanently and forever, in the end. Fear. In any of its forms. Because it was never meant to be permanent. And for each Atma, the fact that you could come and go on this journey and show the courage to do it means you have mastery over the primary implant to the degree that you can do it regardless. This is because the Atma always has had mastery over negative things, even if it was made to doubt and forget this. So these journeys are about recovering that, getting rid of doubt and fear. No body, no human body runs itself. Bodies don't have batteries in them like a car to start a motor and get it running in the morning. The Atma, which is made of source energy itself, draws its energy from the omnipresent power, the living power out in space. And it runs it through the pineal gland, and then the gland is the controlling gland through which you run all the faculties of the body. If you disconnected that beam of energy from the white core of your being, your body would drop dead. Right on the spot. This is what happens when a person finally dies, or the body dies. That energy beam is disconnected because the body no longer functions. And then they just leave. So in a way, every time we go on these journeys, we're dying daily. It means we're simply doing what we do in the final end every night. And people on Earth, without knowing it, leave their body every single night. And they don't know it. It's a crime, it's a shame, because they're going out every night, but they have no training from their fellows on Earth, growing up, how to use higher faculties to bring back awareness to this life. So they don't. Sometimes people have a vivid dream, they bring it through, maybe a master helps them, but we should be able to do this on our own. These journeys, what I share with people about other locations and planets and other dimensions, is to help them see the basics along the way. Because in the being that they already know how to do this. But it takes some time to recover things that have not been used for billions of years. Millions upon millions of lifetimes. That's how ancient we are. This is not your first lifetime by any stretch of the imagination. But it would be good to be the last time you would ever have to be put in a body and made unconscious as a baby or grow up like that, because that's not normal. On most other worlds in our galaxy, young children do not grow up this way. I've mentioned many times that a child on a normal world other than Earth, by the time they're 10, have the equivalent training of someone on Earth if they had 10 PhDs. And I don't think there's anybody on Earth with 10. They're 10 years old at that point. They have photographic memories. None of the genomes on the DNA are shut off. Their telomeres on the end of the DNA don't shrink when the cells divide. That's just higher science. It's ancient. It's not new. The end of disease is not new. Antigravitic propulsion is not new. It's ancient. Earth people haven't been able to enjoy this yet, but they should. When you're hovering near the ceiling and you see this couple beside you smiling at you, and you realize you're in this perfect female body just like they're showing you. Perry's the same way. Me too. This is the prototype. This is what Satnam represents. This male form, this first form that was brought into creation of a human type body. That's where people got the idea that we're made in the image of him. But that's not true, because that's not really him. That's just a form he shows us. He's the spherical energy hovering above it. We're made in the image of that. And we weren't made. We existed at the beginning, before the lower worlds of time and space were even built. Which means we're also responsible for what's happening down here. And if we want to change it, we have to wake up enough to contribute in new ways to help change it. At least with those beings, billions of them, that are now focused on helping Earth away from an Armageddon and into an unexpected change. That is what disclosure is really all about. It's not about telling people there's extraterrestrials. Everybody knows that anyway, even if they're afraid of it. It's about bringing about an event on Earth where everybody on Earth, without exception, knows they exist, remembers they exist, because they were once them. They're pointing upward, and before we go out in space, we stop at about 10,000 meters. Now all you're doing is being there where you live in the atmosphere, 10,000 feet, 10,000 meters up, looking down through the roof, and you can see yourself hovering near the ceiling with this too. They're also hovering beside you up there, both places at the same moment, because the Atma, the spherical being we are, is multi-dimensional capable. You're already running 5 different physical forms on 5 different dimensions, even though you've been made to forget all this. You have an astral body, you're running in the astral plane, next major division up. Above that, the causal. Above that, the mental. Above that, the etheric. And you're responsible for the body forms you're running there too, what people call their higher selves. They assume their higher selves are helping them, but in most cases, this is not true. They aren't. They're selfish, self-centered, lost in their own level or dimension, and not really helping each other. One of the things that takes place on these journeys when we come back, we pass back through those forms to get them to start working with each other. So they can be a benefit to you down on Earth as well. I'm going to send out the hue now in a number of levels because I'm not the only one doing it. Satnam is present on these journeys now. Don't ask me why. He certainly doesn't have to come all the way down here, but he does. In fact, he opens a vortex above him that brings a higher hue down into the hue that is in space. Makes it a bit brighter golden light around us. So we go on the journeys. One of the first things we do is plug into source energy while we're in space outside of Earth. Then we travel on that energy up through the planes and past the void. In this case, though, we're going to stay in space near Earth so that these secondary implants can be removed permanently. You You find yourself in space, and this couple is standing beside you, one to the right, one to the left. Shantial to the right, Tonaltial to the left. And you're looking at them smiling because they're smiling back at you. They're very kind, very ancient, very wise. He has long blonde hair and robin's egg blue eyes, slightly larger than Earth humans. She has long brunette hair and emerald green eyes, also slightly larger than Earth human. They are very experienced, well-trained technicians, considered to be master teachers, among other beneficial disciplines, that remove what are called secondary implants so the real person, the Atma, can begin to gain mastery over what is called the primary implant. There's a number of other beings in a circle around Ambassador Trillian. We're in space. There's a white golden light around us. Everywhere. It's not black like you see in a Hubble Space Telescope or satellite image. That's the limitation of human eyes on Earth. They can't see into a high enough frequency, so it appears black. But it isn't. The most advanced scientists on Earth know that that energy they used to call dark matter is not dark. And it's not just something. It's pure energy. It supports physical matter like worlds and suns and nuclear explosions and all that stuff, and molecules and atoms and time and space. But it is not them. It is the one living power behind it supporting the universe. Little galaxies turn on their axis in this one massive energy. They create electromagnetic fields made of the hue so they can float in this omnipresent field of power. Atmas, you and I, do the same thing. You're an Atma hovering above the pure 36-year-old female form. And Shantial and Tonaltial and Shantial and Tonaltial. Yeah, Shantial and Tonaltial, who are the couple that's beside you, are going to be doing the secondary implant removal. Not me. Not Perry, not anybody on Earth. They cannot be removed inside a reverse negative atmosphere. Too many negative influences, too much resistance, too much fear, so we don't waste our time there. Now you get out of your body every night anyway, whether you know it or not, so this is easy. With fear turned off, this is easy. You daydream going to the store back on Earth, your body follows. When I describe something visually for you here, you're seeing it, but not your body or your brain. That's asleep. You, the Atma, sees it. Ramu's by Earth, other side of Ambassador Trillian, who's standing 18 feet tall. There's the Earth with its polar ice caps and its blue oceans and its land masses and the barren moon pockmarked with meteor craters, no atmosphere to speak of, orbits Earth but does not turn on its axis at all. So we always get shown the same face of the moon. We never see the other side of it. The sun is in the distance. Billions of stars around us, beautiful, big, blue, hot, white giants, young stars, big yellow suns, bigger than ours, little yellow suns, little red dwarfs, great big red, massive giants. And those planets that circle those stars are circling binary or trinary star systems. Most of the suns in the Milky Way are binary or trinary, not single like ours. This has an effect on the world systems, so they don't have polar ice caps. Human life evolves much more in a much more advanced state, genetically and every other way, on such worlds. Don't feel bad because you came from those worlds. You've had bodies like that before. We all have. If people wonder if extraterrestrials exist out here, truth cannot elude you. Out here we know we are extraterrestrials. We did not originate on planet Earth. No human being on Earth in any race ever originated out of the primordial swamps or fish that became birds, that became reptiles, and suddenly sprang out of the ground as humans. No. Human beings are very ancient. The different races represented on Earth, like Japanese and Chinese and African American, Caucasian, Semitic, Aboriginal Indians, North American Indians, Russian Indians, you name it, South American, jungle tribes, none of them originated on this Earth traveling around our sun. They were all brought here at one time or another, going back 65 million years when the dinosaurs were made extinct. Out here, it's easy to see. We're not deluded or misdirected by all the junk that's taught people on Earth, which is all theory, belief. It's not actual experience and it's not knowing. The opposite of faith and belief is doubt and fear. So we got to get beyond those four things if we expect to know anything again. Knowing comes from direct experience. Trellian is 18 feet tall because that's the kind of body he had once a long time ago. So when he shows you his perfect human looking form, it's much taller than ours. The Sayres were around for billions of years before our forms came about. They were the scientists, you call them spiritual scientists, that developed human races, different kinds of like African American and Caucasian and Asian and Semitic, all these Indian tribes. They developed all those on many of the world systems. People of the different races represented on planet Earth come from different star systems, where whole worlds have that kind of race on them. And Caucasians are over that way. And Japanese kind of over there, and other Asians are over in those subplanets. See, what I'm trying to make is that human beings did not evolve on Earth originally. Most mammals and plant life on Earth did not originate on this planet either. They were brought here during different colonizations. So the real history of our solar system is not taught to people on Earth. The professors in colleges and universities don't know it. They don't remember it. When we're out here in this omnipresent glowing golden white light, it has a sound to it. It's important to hear the sound out here. It sounds like a humming, kind of like a gentle rumbling thunder, but it's not frightening. There's no lightning. It's just the sound the physical universe makes out of the hue. When we go up into the astral plane, the next dimension up, it's like the sound of a crashing wave on an ocean beach, very smooth and soothing. All emotion comes from there. We have not taken on the journey of guiding people to the planes below the void, astral, causal, mental, etheric, because as we go up in body forms there, the illusion, the maya, the pleasure, the abilities we have grow, but so does the entrapment of people get them stuck in those planes and not returning across the void like they should be. So this work also has a lot to do with freeing those planes and the forms you're running in them. It's not just about planet Earth. Out in space, Turellian's showing this 18-foot tall body. If you look above him, it looks like a Greek god. Long blonde hair, slightly wavy to his shoulders, big blue eyes, slightly pointed ears, Caucasian looking, but he's not. And he looks to be about 36, with a white gown on to above his bare feet. He's standing there with his two thumbs up with his closed fists, and there's a brighter golden white light around them, humming. And it's creating an oval sphere of light around this circle of beings. Ramu and Master Pelham, who's out in space. A little further, with his pale blue skin, jet black hair to his shoulders, and emerald green eyes, slightly pointed ears like an elf. Wearing a Galactic Alliance uniform, a blue-gray material, a single-piece form-fitting uniform, with a Galactic Alliance symbol on his right chest. Silver galaxy, with a four-sided golden pyramid above the apex and a quartz top on it, and 3 blue stars in triangular formation above it. That stands for the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds. It's not just an alliance of worlds in the Milky Way galaxy. It is an alliance of worlds in a number of Milky Way galaxies stacked on top of each other. 144 of them. Before you even cross over into the astral plane, the universe is big. Bigger than people can remember yet. The only beings capable of circumnavigating and understanding and knowing that complexity is each individual atma. It's built into its layers. All those teardrops are wisdoms and higher faculties of being. The different colors relate to the different planes where you're running bodies. The white core relates to the source behind all life itself, where we come from. Yet to intend drens about 3 feet long from the cute snouts. The tip of their tails are standing on hind legs, upright like a person, with their tail extended behind them, glowing like crystal opal in bright sunlight, smiling, wiggling their little fingers at you so you can see they have a thumb and 4 fingers, just like a human, and a big toe and little toes, just like a person. Strong of build, but they aren't human at all. They're silica-based. Their DNA is made of silica, devolved out of silicon, not from carbon, like humans and other races. And above them is hovering an atma. They are not human, but they are considered master teachers. They like to join into this stuff to add their wisdom in a telepathic link with Turellian. And above Turellian, higher than the drens, is Satnam. Standing there below a vortex he's created, it whirls clockwise. It's like an hourglass, golden white energy whirling around. And around it is a blue-green luminous sheet, looks like water. Now what he's doing is drawing a higher form of the hue from above the void, down through him, goes down through Turellian, out his thumbs, and around us. So this oval light serves as kind of like a spaceship. There are 3 spaceships in a triangular position around the orbit of beings we are around Turellian, hovering in the distance. And one of them, which is across from you, out in space, between the Earth and the Moon, about 30 feet across, it's disc-shaped, 3 semi-spheric pods underneath, or half-sphere-shaped pods. They're wave vector guides. It has a thin blue anti-gravitic light around the hull. These are anti-gravitic powered craft. They get their energy from the omnipresent hue in space that is not nuclear or atomic. And they run them through their devices, their engines, to traverse vast distances in space, traveling on the hue itself, which is not atomic and nuclear in nature. This is how more advanced spacecraft work. They don't pollute. They don't use energy. They just channel it through their ship. Pretty clever. Pretty smart. You can see right through the hull of this ship. And there are 4 couples standing in there. 3 are behind a semicircular control console with little faceted, multicolored, rainbow-colored crystals, different shapes. They're touch sensitive, All you have to do is bring like a couple of fingers close to one, it'll activate a system. And sitting together shoulder to shoulder, apparently the sleep is a couple in the back on a curved, smooth lounge type chair. Then you realize the man and woman standing beside you is that couple that's asleep. They've left their physical body from a ship, a Galactic Alliance Scout class ship, and they are standing beside you. Because to remove these things, it takes Atmos with great technical skill and great understanding, with no subconscious mind influencing them, out in space where the energy is pure. No negative nature can be brought out into space and programmed into the omnipresent golden white light that appears black to people in images and pictures. It doesn't record there. You can't bring negative stuff from Earth out in space. People can bring it with them individually, but they can't put it out there. So it remains within Earth's atmosphere, which means, of course, that all that negative stuff that people have done to each other and animals and plants and everything else has to be purified one day, cleansed. The technology exists to do this, to cleanse the oceans and water systems, to recharge them with the hue. But it does not exist on Earth yet. It has to be brought to Earth from outside. This kind of ability is ancient amongst the races out amongst the stars. It is not new or difficult. They don't have disease. They don't have faulty genomes on their DNA. The telomeres at each end of the DNA that are four-stranded in most of the humans out there do not shrink when the cells divide. This is simply turning on a switch not to shrink. Then you begin to understand what happened to people on Earth. They live short little lives, if they're lucky, 100, as a shriveled up old person. That is not normal. Not at all. This man and woman standing beside you are asking, they're turning you around so you're facing the ship. And you look up and you realize you're looking at yourself. It's this beautiful spherical Atma, which is you. And I'm there too. I'm standing beside Torellian. Perry's standing the other side of him. We're just part of this telepathically. That actually the thing that removes the implants through these beings is Source itself. A lot of people on Earth don't realize this at all. This is not something they can manipulate or make happen. It has to be given, I could use the word grace. It has to be given because someone wills to give it. But it's not done by people on Earth. That's not possible. Not in their present state. And you're looking up at this Atma, which is you, because you have this perfect physical female form. It has eyes and ears, but it doesn't need to breathe. It doesn't need to eat. It doesn't feel hot or cold from the sun. It doesn't feel radiation. It's a pure energy form that looks human. So you can objectively see what's about to happen. Chantel and Tonaltil are moving the physical you, looking you, right up into this electromagnetic field. And what this is, if you look at a picture on Earth and Google it, you'll see an electromagnetic field coming out the South Pole and going in the north around the entire planet Earth. It's made of the hue that circulates in order for this planet to float, to be balanced between other bodies, other Earths, other planets, and the sun and other suns. The same type of electromagnetic field surrounds your body on Earth. It isn't a thin layer of colors near the surface of your skin. It's much bigger than that. And out here in space, you can see it circles the outside of the Atma. And it's moving constantly. And in it are 3 secondary implants. Not in the Atma. They're not in your brain. They're not in your body. They're not electronic chips under the skin. That's completely wrong. They are placed in the electromagnetic field outside of the last layer of the Atma. And they're designed to influence the way you look and run that body on Earth, to misdirect you away from remembering. That's what implants do. They're in a triangular formation. They're about 2/3 of the way out in this field, and they're not in the atom itself because the atom is made of source energy. You can't implant anything negative in there. In reality, none of us have any negative nature at all in us. It's outside. The illusion is that we are that negative nature, but we are not. So it makes sense to be free of that. They're moving you right up to this one sphere, 2/3 of the way out. It's kind of a little more towards the left of the center of your being, until they bring your face right up to it. And then each one of them puts one palm up, one male, one female, and lifts this thing about a foot wide like a football. It's kind of a white light. Pretty, so if you found them, you probably wouldn't want to get rid of them. And then they're moving your face right inside it. So a projection of a physical form that has eyes and ears is moving inside this white oval sphere of light. They've already turned them off, Shantil and Tonaltil. So that beam connecting them is now just a beam, but it's not lit. And as you come inside this thing, you begin to realize that you are aboard a spacecraft. And you are sitting at a control console near the front end of 1 mile-long Galactic Alliance Emerald Star cruiser. And you have a Galactic Alliance uniform on. And you're about 25, which means you're probably about 150 or older from the world you come from. People don't age the same way. It's not the same. And you're like a lieutenant in this experience. And you get up and turn around and you talk to an admiral of this craft. Captain, admiral, I think he's an admiral actually. And you're saying you're approaching a star cluster in the distance, and there's 5 blue hot white stars very close that you can see on the screen, big curved screen. There are a number of other young men and women stationed around the walls of this area. A Galactic Emerald Star cruiser has a control bridge on each end of the ship. It's cylindrical. It's made for traveling through interdimensional doorways to travel across great vast areas of space. There's a blue anti-gravitic light around it. You can see it from outside as an atma. And then you can see yourself hovering above this young woman's form. Now, this is a lifetime that took place for you 178,000 years ago as part of the Galactic Alliance, long before you found yourself on Earth, with no awareness or very little. By the time you're 25, you would have had at least probably the equivalent of 20 PhDs to a person on Earth, because Galactic Alliance personnel are cross-trained. That means you can fly the ship, you can be a navigation officer, which you are here. You can be a scientist in biology, interdimensional travel, anti-gravitic drive systems, and all these things. You probably know them all well. Something happened, any one of the personnel on a ship could fly such a vessel. They can fly scout craft, these small 30-foot diameter disc-shaped ships. One's larger. So this is not new to you. You knew how to do this a long time ago in another life. That lifetime and where we're headed, which we'll get into, took place in another one of the spiral arms of our galaxy in the Galactic Alliance domain. About halfway down the spiral arm, just to the left side of the one where Earth is. You can look it up in astronomy and figure out where Earth is in the galaxy. And we're heading towards this cluster of young, hot, blue-white stars. We're actually heading into the first stars of the Pleiades, part of a constellation, I think in Lyra. There are 7 of those stars you can see from Earth with the naked eye. There are many more. And then this ship darts in a blur of light past those blue-white stars, and we're going through hundreds of stars deeper into this cluster. We have left in this ship Zeolite 1. Zeolite 1 is a planet near the galactic core, not in it. It is a central governing planet of the entire Galactic Alliance. There are more than 450 million spacefaring races and world systems involved in that organization. There's a being who just walked on the bridge, and he walks up to you and places his left hand on your shoulder. And he looks down at you. That's Master Opellum. So you knew him. Opellum has been the same age like this for 500,000 years. And he was one of the original founders of the Galactic Alliance at the encouragement of Ambassador Trellian of the Sayres. So he's someone we're bringing back to Oceania on this craft. When this ship comes to a sudden stop and appears again in reality, you're looking down on a mostly water-covered world. Radiant, luminous blue, slightly green ocean. Several small islands near the equator, 4 times bigger than Earth. And 3 planets the size of Earth, orbiting it at different distances. No polar ice caps on any of them. And in the distance, a trinary star system. Big blue young hot star, smaller yellow sun circling that, and a smaller sun circling it. That's a trinary star system. You see this ship now plunge into the atmosphere and very quickly come to hover in a long, oval-shaped, blue disc-shaped landing pad near a big dome city on the back side of it. And as it lands, and these little legs come out, and it rests on this, hovers actually about a foot above this landing pad. A door appears, an oval opening in the middle of the hull. It's a mile long, this ship. It's big, one of the smaller ones. And it comes down to the ground. And the Admiral and you, Master Opellum, and some other co-workers are walking down the ramp, heading over to a triangular opening in the base of the dome. Then you find yourself outside in space, around Ambassador Trellian. Chantal and Tonaltil are still beside you. And your face is just coming out of this one oval white secondary implant. Now, what the thing is about implants is the lifetimes they hide had no negative nature. That's why they were selected. There's nothing negative about the lifetime you lived there. You lived for 6,500 years in that body before you voluntarily left it and went on to other things. So this is part of your past. Because that's such a brilliant life with no negative nature, that naturally begins to filter down to your life on Earth. It's your life, you have a right to it. The rest is just buggering programming in the way you grew up with and brought to Earth or had forced on you. You're going to find that the constructive, positive, uplifting things have dominance or mastery over negative forms. Ultimately, they are master. And as they come out of it, Chantal and Tonaltil throw this little oval football-sized white light up in the air, and it disintegrates it. It becomes just a blue powder that, just like a vapor in it, becomes part of the white golden light around us. Now, the lifetime is one of the teardrops. It's in one of the teardrops that surround you as an Atma, hovering above this form that you're showing everybody. So it's not gone. But at least this one part of that lifetime is revealed to you. That can't be taken from you. That is your doorway. You can go into that, go forward or backward in that life and review it. You can have fun with this. The doorway is open. The Chantal and tonality are now moving you to the right side of the electromagnetic field, this golden white light that's running all the time out of the South Pole into the North Pole of your being. And they're bringing you up to this other secondary implant. Then they're moving your face up to it, and they place their palms, one male, one female, under it, and lift it out of your field, and you start moving your face into it so you can experience it. You're walking along a violet luminous beach. It's a violet mineral. Could be like amethyst. Probably is. Except these crystals are pure and they're charged. So this long snake-like beach is winding between an ocean on one side, which has a blue-pink luminous water, and a big lake on the other side, which has more of a blue turquoise glowing water. And you're walking down this strand of this sand, heading towards, it looks like a horseshoe-shaped portal with a wavering green glowing screen in front of it. It's an ivory stone. It has esoteric symbols around it. And you're returning from an excursion, a visit. You have a Galactic Alliance uniform on. You've got some scientific crystalline devices in your hand. And you look to be about 36 here. You have yellow eyes. I'm strikingly yellow. Long, kind of pinkish silver hair to your shoulders. A little bit longer neck than a human. And you have a smooth, kind of a light tan skin. Slightly longer earlobes. And you're looking at one of these little computer screens you have in your hand. And you're kind of checking out the environment of the charge of the hue in this water, in the ocean and in this lake behind you. In the distance are snow-covered mountains. Up in the sky, way up in the sky, you can see that this, whatever this planet is, you can see in the daytime 3 suns at different positions moving across the sky. One is another big blue giant young star. One's a bigger yellow sun than ours, and one's a red dwarf. That's a trinary sun system. And then you look down at the screen and you look at this horseshoe-shaped portal and you walk right into it. And you find yourself coming out of a building that's ivory white dome, big building. And you're walking out through a triangular opening and you're meeting with some fellow scientists and showing them the data you have on this screen. They are of different races. There's a tall, thin pyramid building in the distance, a golden, luminous, like ocean far off. And you look behind you at this dome and you realize that is the Galactic Alliance central meeting dome for the Galactic Alliance Council. You're on Zetranami 1. So they have the devices that can move you through time and space to a location with another one of these devices without getting there in a spaceship. That's easy stuff. So you're really a person almost 400,000 years ago, 100,000 years after the Galactic Alliance was founded, living a life there that was over 15,000 years long. And then you left to do something else, and the body was simply dematerialized. No burial grounds, no cremation. The energy's reused, nothing's wasted. So this is a lifetime that you had a very long time ago. These 2 lifetimes so far took place long after the end of a great galactic war that took place 500,000 years ago. That war came to an end, the bad guys were defeated, and there's been kind of a Cold War going on ever since where they'll sneak around and capture some Galactic Alliance person and kill them and eat them or take, stuff them in a body on Earth. And really what they're doing is putting an electromagnetic field that's around you and putting implants in it. They can't do it in the atom itself, but they can put it out and create it to be subconscious so that it can influence your decision making. It says, If you try to remember what we did to you, we'll kill you and eat you again, kind of a thing. Secondary implants are not your own experiences, the negative part of them. They were implanted in very good lifetime memories. And now you're out in space coming out of this football-sized white field of light. And they're just wiggling their fingers and turning it into a pink vapor that vanishes and becomes part of the white golden light around us. Now you've got access to this life. The planet was called Cyphor. The first planet was called Zentraxin. Just getting to it now as it comes to me. Shantiel and Tonitar are moving you out in space around the Atma you are and heading you in towards, you can see Turelian and the circle of beings. There are a number of master teachers standing in that circle, not just you, me, Perry, and Ramu, and Opelum. There's Din Din, and there's others, Light Sea, Satnam, still standing in space, high above everything. There are other Galactic Alliance personnel, Dontam and Lamtam, and many others, witnessing this, being trained about it as well, to serve other people on Earth. So they're moving you up to this last secondary implant. And this time, they're placing their male and female palm under your own palms. Put your palms together and up. And they're having you lift this last one out yourself, co-creatively involved. And then you lift it up into your face, and you go into this last one. You're on a planet 478,000 years ago. Galactic Alliance has been around for 25,000 or so years, a little less. And you have this violet kind of a gown on that shimmers and sparkles with rainbow colors as you move. You have a very long body. You have a longer neck, longer fingers, longer torso, about 10 feet tall. And you are standing on a world that's on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy. And you are what's called a Zeontranamus. You're part of a race of beings that run a little more than half the worlds in the galaxy that now work together with the Galactic Alliance. And you're in a body form that's, we can look to be about 35, 36 maybe. But you have ivory-colored skin, silver hair to your shoulder, violet eyes. And when you move like a swan. Very elegant, poised, and dignified. And you're standing by a fountain. And around you is an emerald green glowing sand. And these 4-foot-high flowering plants that have the most intoxicating, beautiful perfume. And in the distance, you've got a circular mountain range around this area. And this fountain is on this beautiful glowing sand. And it's surrounded by a circular lake. And it's glowing with a green luminous light a foot above the calm waters. The fountain is of a white alabaster type stone. And these are fairly common throughout the Galactic Alliance. They are devices. And there is a white golden light coming up out of the fountain and falling back on itself. But there's a very pastel white golden light coming down in this fountain, charging the water, the H2O. It's the water, the H2O, that can hold a lot of a charge of the hue. On normal planets, waters glow. Earth is depleted. They do not glow on Earth. There's a charge of the hue in the equator, but mostly the charge is depleted. 8 billion unconscious people get in the way of that. So that's something else that has to be fixed on planet Earth. People on Earth don't have a clue how to do that. Scientists or anybody else. So it has to be done from outside, where the greater God is, where the greater, more evolved races are. People on Earth are going to have to be humble in order to be able to receive what will be given to them at no cost or charge. when the time is right. Standing around this fountain are these small giraffe-like beings. They look like blue-skinned giraffes with long necks, a little bit longer nose than a giraffe on Earth, and they're extending out these foot-long tongues and lapping up some of this glowing water. And as it gets around their tongues glow. They have big, beautiful violet eyes like you. And bushy tails. They're about 6 feet tall. Male and female, and some a little shorter. And these have atmas hovering above them. And the first thing you notice in this shimmering person that you are is that they are atmas, and they're speaking. They have vocal cords. This glow goes inside their head. Their skull becomes transparent, and then it fills their whole body up with light. And you go up between them. These are friends. Then you hug them around the neck, and they welcome you. They speak to you in your language. They have vocal cords. And you reach your hand in and pull out a little cupful of this light and drink it. And they watch you as it goes through your system. It doesn't stop in your body. It goes up the top of your head and into the white core of the atma. You are hovering there. So this is how you were at one time long ago, on a planet in the other side of the Milky Way galaxy. So what happened to you from then to put you on Earth with no memory? This is where the primary implant and the secondary implant removals come into the picture. This is a wonderful lifetime. Beautiful, loving nature. No negative nature. He lived 27,000 years in one body form in that life. But you'll notice now that some other people coming into a trail from the other side of this fountain are from your race. A bit taller man and woman, they're your parents. They're walking around the fountain up to you, and they put their arms around you. And then, once again, somebody else appears there. Master Opellum appears right by the fountain, smiling at you. He gets around, that guy. Even while he was in one of the founding members of the Galactic Alliance, he was over doing things with the Zeontranamus people and gathering the energies together across the galaxy to get them to be in harmony today like they are. The planet's called Sifronal, flowering wonder, because flowers are everywhere here. It's a charged world, a normal planet. And you find yourself coming out of this third implant. And this time, Shantiel and Tonaltial and Terrellian tells you, send the hue into it. So you send the hue into it. It comes right through Satnam, down from that vortex, through Terrellian, through you, through Shantiel and Tonaltial, through us, and it disintegrates it in little beautiful bubbly blue drops of water that vanish. Now the implant part that's covering up this beautiful lifetime is gone. The energy coming through Satnam makes this permanent, one way. It can never be implanted like this again. The hue expansion ray, as it moves through our solar system, as it moves through us, begins to bring with it a wisdom that is passed through us, so that we have the intelligence and wisdom not to get trapped again. This all heads towards mastery. Mastery is knowing what you are as an Atma, the spherical being you are, and its faculties, and knowing your co-creative role with the source itself. And we go to that source in the long distance journeys, not the secondary implant removal journeys. Etta and Din are now flying down from above Ambassador Terrellian and hovering in front of you, waving their little fingers in a cute way just to say hello. You'll notice Opellums come over from where he is and he's standing beside them. And they climb on his shoulders and wrap their tails around his chest. A very loving relationship, the Drens and Opellum. More of that is revealed in the Parallel Time Trilogy books than in the Savior's Agenda as far as ETA is concerned. Because that has to do with galactic alliance involvement with Earth's ancient history in our solar system more than 100,000 years ago. I've known the Drens, these two, for that length of time, 100,000 years. I adore them. Secondary implants, these three, are gone. They will never be returned. You'll never suffer from them again. You're going to find it back on Earth. You're going to have more ability to command the primary implant, the one where you're really killed and stuffed in a body on Earth kind of thing. Because you're going to find you're not afraid of it. When you start feeling fear of the present or future, go into the hue right then, if you can remember my words, and send the hue into the fear, and whatever that fear is, until you feel comfortable inside. That fear, that primary implant, will turn off. You'll have the ability to turn it off if you exercise it a little bit. You don't have to suffer from the primary implant. And at some point when you're ready, we'll go take a look at what's in that primary implant. We'll just make it a memory. The removal of the subconscious mind altogether cannot be done on Earth by anyone. The technology and the spirituality, if you will, is far too far beyond people on Earth. But it's not beyond the Galactic Alliance personnel and master teachers that work there. It is not beyond them. And we have to realize where our respect has to be placed if we expect to be free of having a subconscious mind altogether, because we're not meant to have one at all. When you look up and see Satnam standing up there below this whirling vortex, up on the other side of it, way up high, you can see a pale blue, luminous atmosphere. That is the void. What some people say is the supreme being, because there's nothing in it but this light. That's not true. It's not the supreme being. It is a pure hue barrier between the lower worlds of time and space and the realities far above it. Because up above there, to Satnam's realm and further, there is no negative nature whatsoever. There's no time and space, no planets, no moons, no suns, no stars, because they are not needed. We all produce our own radiant glow. And everything mocked up there, held in place by beings, also has its own light. There's no negative nature there. So it makes sense, if we want to create things that will change Earth, better to do it above the void where there's no negative nature, so that we are objective, intelligent, and capable of bringing, with many others, an unexpected change to something as backward as the people on planet Earth are. And they are terribly backwards. We need to go through a lot. If we're to be spacefaring members in the physical universe of millions, hundreds of millions of other world systems, then we're going to have to be able to be trusted. Can't bring fear, nuclear weapons, take our animals and slaughter them for steaks along the way. No. Nobody comes to Earth in a ship with steaks in the freezer from animals they've killed. They just don't live like people on Earth at all. Now that may offend some people, but that's too bad, because we're not meant to be the way people are on Earth, are not meant to be the way they are. And they can recover from that amnesia, that terrible perversion that makes them treat life in such a destructive manner every day. And then they wonder why they're stuck here. So I say to people, do not try to be a vegetarian. Change your consciousness, and anything like that that's not part of what's good for you will drop away naturally. Don't try to force it. Doesn't work. It will drop away naturally. It gets replaced by what we once were long ago. what we once knew. That's where mastery comes in. It's more about recovering what we've been made to forget first, and then we take it further. And that further is returning to the source. When you find yourself back on Earth hovering near the ceiling, Chantil and Tomtil are right beside you still. And you're seeing your body there. And there's a big electromagnetic field around it, like a big field. But there's no secondary implants in it, it's clear. Primary implant is like a pyramid shape on the northern pole of the atma, not in it, and one pointing downward below. These are turned off right now. So the energy that we just brought back from out there is being passed through you. And it's going through you for your benefit and then continuing out into Earth's atmosphere for the benefit of other life, because it's the way the omnipresent power works. It doesn't work selfishly. It's not biased. It's not prejudiced. It just moves through us. As you begin to wake up, it starts to become a conscious teacher of you instead of just supporting you, good or bad or both. It starts to take a different role with us. The energy goes to 3 pyramids stationed on Earth that have manifested on this planet. 2 in the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, one in the Pacific, one in the Atlantis, and one inside a hollowed out mountain inside the Himalayas. They have a fountain with a statue of Satnam in them. It is a device that channels energy from above the void out into Earth's atmosphere. It goes through the planet, out into space, connects to a bigger pyramid that is 4-sided golden with a quartz cap. It's much bigger and it's hovering in space between 2 stationary asteroids. In the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of a planet around the sun between Mars and Jupiter that was blown up a long time ago. And then it goes out into space to other pyramids, and then it connects to the galactic core itself. The white shaft of light they used to call a black hole because I see it as black. It's not. And it goes up that interdimensional portal and up through the planes and all the way back to source, and it never stops moving. And understanding this, when you get up in the day, go to a restaurant, you're going to be bringing this awareness with you. It's going to be moving through you. So you start to become boots on the ground. We begin to become conscious co-creators with the source to carry out this transformation. You don't have to figure it out in the future and be some miraculous master later on. It takes place right now. It's our nature to be co-creators with the source. When you're ready, open your eyes. Three. Gone. Those are pretty special lifetimes. I love reviewing those lifetimes for people because I've never seen them before. You know, I was on other planets doing other things. But yeah. You can turn your mic on now if you wish. Dee Dee.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, you know, because the lifetimes that are implanted are always the good ones. Think about it. If you're a tyrant and you want to trap someone, you don't want them to tattle on you, what they did to you, put it over a good life, you know, with high IQ, and make it so they can't access it. Be real nasty about it. There's no negative nature, no wars during those lives. You were never involved in fighting anything for long, thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
And then you get stuck on Earth with the rest of us. I know. It's a pleasure to do this. I wish I could do it for lots and lots, but we did hundreds of these, I think, in December. It's kind of a burnout when you do one-on-one, 4 or 5 a day. You realize it's just not possible to take that into 10,000, 2 million. Can't be done. So the group things are more practical. Some of the group things, as you know, people get revealed usually when there's a joint life of some point. So they get at least one that way. But they're going to get these 3 lives too. Because every night when they're out of their bodies, the Galactic Alliance they meet on the journeys are assigned to them. And they start working with you. I would recommend that when you go to bed at night, send out the hue, 5 or 10 minutes. You know, you're getting ready to go to sleep. Then ask Shantiel and Tonaltiel, or Dantiel and Lamtiel, or Ramu, or Pelham, or Et and Din, or Satnam, or Ambassador Trellian, or me, or anybody. Perry, just ask for some help. Okay, at night. So you're putting a little effort into it. And then try to remember to only open one eye. Tell yourself you'll only open one eye in the morning when you wake the body up. Takes a little discipline. We're by scopular beings. Once we open both eyes, we're grounded to the atmosphere of Earth to protect our bodies and not bump into things and have balance. Unless you're a blind person or whatever. But when we only open one eye in the morning, you can do it. You're going to be able to review. You'll remember everything you did when you're out of your body, who you were with. And you play it from beginning to end, and then open your other eye. And you'll find you've brought the memory here. Now, it takes a while to get the discipline of that. The best way to approach this is to have childlike wonder. In other words, don't worry about having experiences. Just put your little consistent energy into it, and with childlike wonder, wait and see what happens. You're going to be finding you're going to be sitting in a restaurant one day. I predict it. And you're going to hear the sound of the hue around you. There's not going to be any sound in the room, and nobody else will hear it. It's the Atma hearing it, tuning into it. And when you look up in the atmosphere, you'll see little sparkles of prana moving around in between the oxygen atmosphere, you know. And that's the hue in a certain kind of form in the atmosphere. And then you'll know you're in touch with the sound and light of the omnipresent power you've been plugged into. And you just let it go through you.
Yeah.
Enjoy your lunch. Don't tell anybody nothing. Don't say anything. And let it show you the way, kind of thing. It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'll bring this recording. Did you want to add anything in the recording? Any questions? Or would you like to stop the recording and then we can just talk?
Yeah, I think it can be stopped. Yeah.
There we go.